Well, my name is Jennifer. It's a wonderful opportunity for me to welcome you to this liturgical poetry reading. How many have attended a poetry based on liturgy? Has anyone done that before? Liturgy coming from the etymology of the word working. And we want to welcome you to this space. I'm going to start out with a benediction from Psalm 19, one of my favorites. Woo. It's working. You're going to have to work to see me and the poets. It starts out, the heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they display knowledge. There is no speech or language where their words have not been heard. Their voice goes out into all the earth, their words to the ends of the world. I want you to think about one of your favorite words. Can you think of it? Maybe it's a beloved friend. Maybe it's something in nature. Maybe it's a color. We're going to have a night of words, which is music, which is power, which is transformation. And how it will work is, first of all, I want to thank people. Doesn't everything begin with gratitude? I would like to thank Bo Karen Lee. She is not here, but she is here. And we say thank you to you, Bo. I know you are listening in. We bless you. We ask God's peace upon your life. And we thank you for your rich willingness to look into what our society needs, this soul connection. We live in a time of loneliness, as Maya Angelou says, coiled in shells of loneliness. Until love leaves its high holy temple to come into our sight to liberate us into life. This is what this means. Loneliness is an epidemic. Loneliness as a story in our middle schools, high schools, colleges, homes all across America, people living side by side and not knowing anyone. Thank you, Bo, for speaking against that and inviting us into connection, into presence, into community. Oh, and she is praying for everyone here, and she loves you. What a blessing. I also want to honor Goldenwood NYC, who's familiar with that beautiful ministry. It's incredible. David Kim right here and Amy Lee, they run Goldenwood NYC. The things that you're eating and imbibing, these things, this table, this communal space is thanks to them. And they are about creating spaces of unity with the mission to infuse work with love. Wow, can you imagine if we did that? That would be a beautiful place, a wonderful world, as Julian spoke of last night. Thank you. This is also sponsored by EcoTheo. Anyone familiar with EcoTheo? So they do create liturgical poetry readings around the United States, and they are really trying to infuse poetry, visual arts, the spoken word, bringing artists together, and their whole focus is one word, which Julian also presented this morning in our opening quote. The word is wonder. Wonder. How can we not understand the importance of that in our time right now? And it's interesting psychologically, the doorway between when we are uncreative and when we are creative is just a simple word, curiosity. And that is the essence of wonder, to walk through that door. As soon as we hit frustration, we're done creating. But when we stay curious, when we stay in wonder. Oh, EcoTheo was originally founded by PTS students. So thank you, CCL. Thank you for everyone being here. I'm going to explain a little bit about what we're doing here tonight. We're going to do a responsive reading, and what that will mean is I will read the lightened text, and then the bolden text I will raise my hand, and if you could join with me together in that. And it will be like a liturgical, it is a working response. I think poetry can be very consumptive, and the intent is to connect and to speak into the space so that our words are part of us, that we are ingesting this experience together. And this first one is by Natalie Diaz. Of course, she looked back. This is about Lot's wife. Before we start, I'm just going to give you a brief overview so that all the people that like that feel at peace. So I'm going to read this one, and then we're going to break into smaller groups, and that will be a time of question, and they're printed in here that you can ask. Feel free to speak about that. That'll be about 5 to 10 minutes. We'll come back together, and I will introduce our first poet, and then I will also introduce our next poet. Those will both be started with a responsive reading. They both gave us poems to share with you. I'm sorry? Written for this event. Is that right? I didn't know that. Awesome. And then we'll close with a poem by James Wright, and then I will conclude us with a benediction from Maya Angelou. Let's close our eyes for a moment. Have you ever experienced loneliness? Where does it sit in your body? Can you speak to that place? Can you welcome that place? Can you picture a face of someone who might be lonely right now? Can you speak to that place in them? We're going to breathe in love and joy and breathe out fear. Of Course She Looked Back by Natalie Diaz. You would have too from that distance, the shivering city fit in the palm of her hand like she owned it. She could have blown the whole thing, markets, dance halls, hookah bars, sent the city and its 100 harems tumbling across the desert like a kiss. She had to look back. When she did, she saw pigeons glinting like debris above ruined rooftops, towers swaying, women in broken skirts strewn along burnt-out streets, her bell. The noise was something else. Dogs wept, roosters howled, children and guitars popped like kernels of corn, feeding the twisting blaze. She wondered, had she unplugged the coffee pot, the iron? Was the oven off? Her husband uttered, "Keep going," whispered, "Stay the course," or "Baby, forget about it." She couldn't. Now a bursting garden of flame, like hot fruit in a persimmon orchard. Someone thirsty asked for water. Someone scared asked to pray. Her daughters or the crooked-legged angel. Dark thighs of smoke opened to the sky. She meant to look away, but the sting in her eyes, the taste devouring her tongue, and the neighbors begging her name. So this would be a kinship dialogue. How does Natalie's poem give you life or help you be present to self and others? And the other, who is one woman who inspires you to be invincible, eternal, indestructible, and how does she inspire you? So gather around and we'll have a little kinship discussion. Anastasia Renee, what a beautiful woman. She, they is a queer writer, educator, interdisciplinary artist, playwright, former radio host, TEDx speaker, and podcaster. She is the author of Here in the Middle of Nowhere, Side Notes from the Archivist, and Forget It. Side Notes from the Archivist was selected as one of NYPL's best books of 2023 and the American Library Association's notable books for 2024. She has a poem that we are going to share together. It's called Gazing. So I'll allow you to get ready. If you wouldn't mind, just take a look at that poem for a moment. Notice what words speak to you. I will read the light text and then the bold text we will read together. Gazing by Anastasia Renee. In the night sky, I see myself round and glowing. I see myself cupping each star. Inside myself, I see myself black and blue with bruises of satisfaction. I see myself whizzing by myself to such a rapid speed. They call me asteroid. They call me time lapse. They call me future. I see myself flickering in the distance, boundless parameter, up close in the past and the future, gazing. I see myself planning to give myself all the space I need, to collapse into myself, to become an innumerable, glowing, all the dark, lit up, spanning beautifully majestic, as wide as my DNA can go. The beloved Anastasia Renee.
Hi, y'all. It's been such a joy creeping out, pretending I'm not one of the poets, just being in community, watching people, and being open and vulnerable in ways that feel strong. And I just want to thank this entire community for welcoming me and for giving space for rest and for process and for very deep emotion and also laughter. It's just been nice to be in that space. Um, I am nervous, and I'm always nervous, but I am especially nervous when it's people I care about. It's easy to read it in front of people you don't really know. You're like, okay, I'm leaving this gig. But I feel a sense of responsibility because of the nature of this conference. So I just want to put that out there. Oh, love you too. My children said, Mommy, you got it. And I said, okay. So I'm going to read for you all. And usually when I read, I just read and keep going. There'll be a title. You'll know when I'm going to the next piece. You don't have to clap or anything. But what I do solicit is your emotions. If you feel something, you might go, or take a pause for rest and consideration. Is that all right? Okay. I'm beginning this with reading from Here in the Middle of Nowhere. This is a fiction book sprinkled with poetry, and Lucille is the mother of the town. Lucille is omnipotent and omniscient in this work. It is about time jumping, Afrofuturism, sci-fi, fantasy, spiritual realm. As Lucille. I pour sun tea in a mason jar with uneven chunks of ice and put the tip of my tongue on the barrel of straw and sip it slow like an invocation to myself. I like to run my piano fingers against these turquoise shutters slow so I can feel what they are communicating to me. Could be telling me secrets, could be making plans, could be letting in the light, could be sounding off a warning, could be just a turquoise shutter. I like to sit like a right angle, 90 degrees and slightly slouched here with a piece of my dress under my butt and the rest of it hugging the tops of my knees, fanning my fan every which way and staring right there at my tree. I like to be barefoot with my legs wide as the Milky Way and my sweaty hips sunk deep enough to leave an imprint of myself and the black blades of my shoulders pushed into the cushion's floral design like grass. And then I rest every eye for a spell. But as soon, and I mean as soon as I do that, bees come buzzing and bumbling around me, and I have to flap the pockets of my dress, and baby, I jingle. Just a little bit. Because I always keep change somewhere deep in the crevices on each side, 5 pennies, 9 dimes, and a shiny $2 sterling silver piece. And I sit and sit and rest and rest and sit some more here on this porch, watching over my tree all of the time. I am Lucille. I am mother of all the Lucille's, of all of you, and God in this place, in the middle of nowhere. You want to know if I'm a star here? Yes, a luminous one. You want to know how many Lucille's are mine? You want to know how many times they've each been around the sun? You want to know if you can see them? Yes, yes you can. Oh, Lucille's, sugar cubes, I know what it feels like to be severed from your genesis like a light year trapped to retroflect the gurgling consciousness of memory stained by a prepositional amnesia. You want to know at what cost? Which floods have you been in? What are you made of? And where are you traveling to? But daughters, Lucille's maternal lineage, Lucille's spirit, Lucille's imprints, Lucille's four-dimpled smile, Lucille's subplanetary alignment, first earth and cosmos is here with you. To conjure, to be conjured with, a glossary of beings in the town, to be a branch or a parish or a cemetery or a church or the wind or a mother or a spaceship of a dream or an alternate reality with you. You want to know if visitors can come? Yes, you are here at my tree. Rib cages and hip bones, thickets of hair and shoelaces, tachycardia and phantom limbs, bridesmaids, eggshells and hysterectomies, kisses of all kinds, sometimes blowing kisses at me, at the ground, at friends, at you, disappearing selfies at my tree, Afropod sleeves and aversions of selves, splintering selves and centering selves. I don't head count, but if I'd say maybe a quarter till infinity and still coming, I love black, shimmering holograms projected on my bark. Concentric ridges of DNA all around. I tell them through found objects and sudden wind gusts to keep it pushing. Because sometimes life is both flecks of horror and delight. Gumbo for my foodies. Gumbo. And then you stirred the left breast and shrimp and sausage and right ovary and okra and bones and tubes and put your nose in the gumbo and you called it yourself. Every mouthful a jaw of iterations. Every swallow a shell so soft it renders as tender meat. Gristle so malleable and messy it slops right through to you, to y'all, to us, to her, to them, to visitor, to me. Freedom, a momentary lack in feeling responsible for the mission of completing what your ancestors did not finish. A lapse in judgment which did not end in detriment or lamentation. An open laugh wherein your jaw did not draw back to remind you, we ain't got time for that. A gap of imperfection that didn't remind you, we don't say ain't. Nina Simone says she felt most free when she was not fearful, but you are the most free when you are all the crusty bits of yourself. And if that means you are afraid, so be it. If it means your spine is amethyst, but your hands are sweaty, then tell the whole interplanetary world directly or in parables, you welcome your freedom. Can I get y'all to say, oh, body? Okay. Oh, body. Okay, so when I point to you, that's your job, okay? Forgive me for not loving you more. A living legend all strung up in prom dress made of glitter and probability. A living legend contoured in corset, lover of dirty saints and protein smoothies. Could this be why the heartbeat is off center? Too many distractions going south all at once. Gobble your sun salutations and weigh yourself light. Oh, body, somebody's baby. Forgive me for not rocking you more. Bowed head for all the times I threw you across the bed and told you to be quiet. For all the times I told you to just take it like a pronoun and let the harsh eggshell of voices seep in your misshapen yolk. Forgive me for letting every narcissist in Hello Kitty use your voice box as their own speaker. I can hear you now, body, not loud and clear, but tenor. Oh, body, boo, you know I love you. But it is hard to show you all the time. What is worse, knowing I love you but not showing it, or not knowing if my love is true? Oh body, oh body, oh body. It is so hard to find truth in the breast holding bullets, ready to fire out at any time, ready to shoot at anything that gets in the way of anything on pause, like remission or forgiveness or revenge or suspicion. Oh body, it's time to count each star as a scar and love yourself. If you cannot connect each of my dots, be the Lord's meteor, look in the eyes of my God and repeat my own name. Oh body, it is you I love. Everybody gets a solo in the choir of grief. Amen. Amen. If she doesn't get a chance to grieve, she will choke on her own disappointment and lie down with the demon's liver, and she will ask the demon for it, something more able to handle her own unwanted toxicity. Grief, it is alive, it is well, it is here. Grief as a compost bucket festers for the in-between and the living, the deliberate decay of a thing fermenting. How grief can make you crave it like expensive cheese from the neighborhood co-op. As a mortuary, if a person is dead, you can place flowers on their headstone, but if a person is alive, you can only picture them as a bouquet. grief as an accessory. You are wearing grief around your neck, a tiny teacup ascot saucering on your Adam's apple. Sipping here, sipping there, tiny little sips of grief. You are wearing grief like a vintage cardigan all together and keep it pushing, and no one would ever know. Buttoning here, buttoning there, unbuttoning here, unbuttoning there, tiny hanging on like a thread buttons, missing whole buttons of grief. You are wearing grief in the best shade of lipstick. Put it on slow, a mat of purple bruises lining here, puckering there, tiny kiss marks of grief. When is there time for the Black woman to fling her frankness? Tiny flinging frankness here, tiny flinging frankness there. Grief as a Zoom happy hour. Let's get together. Let's have a conversation. Raise your glasses and let's toast to getting out of bed today. Heart emoji, filter, viral, filter, and then an off-camera cry. Grief makes you hangry, makes you scarf the skin off your bones, makes you pick hindsight from your wisdom teeth, makes you feel nauseous with all the things spiraling down. Grief makes you want to diet and blame your need for control on the anorexia of your heart's refusal to keep you down. Grieving makes you crave sugar and salt. Anything at all to coat the nakedness of your shivering buds, always sprouting to find the familiarity of taste of being sweet again. Put the past under your tongue, and when it melts, pretend. But think, how many rows of cotton were not picked with your own hands? How much do you have to carry? Be grateful for the living. Acknowledge your grief. Y'all all right? Okay. Last three. Rest well. 1, I lie in bed and fidget my hair to cornrows as a meditation on sickness, about what the body decides is a big or a small sick, on what the mind decides is a crater or a valley. The cornrows are not straight, and I delight in the fact. Imagine myself a child running through a maze of cornrows, snagging my favorite shirt on the thicket of my hair. When the pain rushes in again, I meditate counterclockwise and untwist the cornrows and imagine me as the same child getting lost in a billow of berry trees. 2, I considered dying in my sleep, my heart so full of love it becomes a candy crush of flooding in each little chamber. I considered what the odds are for, a person like me, a person carrying persons on her back. How far can I swim like that? How wide can my ripples be like that? I considered how much I need to be watered daily and how my mouth might hang open like a fish in the form of a long O. That is to say, home. That is to say, lone. That is to say, row. That is to say, moan. What the river taught me, flow. 1, if you are the river, you cannot drown yourself. 2, motion is not the same as movement. Move. 3, to be a waterfall, you have to fall. 4, there is submerge, there is emerge, and there is merge. 5, a river can flow or trickle or crash on a rock or an eyeball or a throat or a heart or. 6, waves are not apologetic or intuitive, just present. Last one for all of us who need this. Crest. Here. Rest. Here. Your body has poured a chalice so full, your nerves runneth over, and your eyes vibrate bronze and cracked pewter. Say to each molecule rocking back and forth and back and forth, rest, rest, rest. To every artery and chambered conch, to the blood cresting and vessels mouthing, the tide is out. The tide is out. The tide is out. To each sense sanitized with woe, to tiny specks of deliverance in each eye, in the sunflowered centers of every fibroid or jellied cyst or migraine or tummy ache or anxiety, and the Alice Coltrane of every tumor's melody. Rest here. Rest here. Rest here. Thank you all.
Wow, that was incredible. We're going to close your eyes and just breathe in another moment. Love what she said. Rest here. Just breathe that in for a minute. I'd love to introduce our next poet. Alicia Nicole Harris has dedicated her life to studying words in their spiritual, social, linguistic, and creative capacities. Renowned internationally as a spoken word artist, Alicia is the author of prize-winning chapbook, How Much We Must Have Looked Like Stars to Stars. She received her MFA in poetry from New York University in 2014 and her PhD in linguistics from Yale University in 2019. Please join me in a liturgical reading of her poem that she wrote for this event. From Where I Stood Standing by Alicia Nicole Harris. I didn't see red berries or the moon's white skull. I had to stomp to feel the soft fluorescent moss and the green articulate spines of ancient ferns. Had to bend to see the shale shine silver, tiny flecks in the red ochre dirt that were near my feet. And just as eternal as cold, elusive moonshine, had to crouch down and crane to observe the large turtle, stretching his vulnerable neck upwards for a tender modicum of sun, that fickle lover playing footsie. Beneath her billowing cloud skirts, yes, it helps to get low down and look up, to really see it. It helps to kneel. Please welcome Alicia Nicole Harris.
Flamenco tells me silence is but a sequence, part of the holy rhythm, without which there is only noise. In the silence, feet still, but my heart flutters, hands flustered, fidgeting with a button. I'm trying to dress someone, a body, or a wound. I'm trying to greet someone, my God and my reflection there by the door. Come in, say the hands. I stand knocking, say the castagnettes. Poised at the threshold of a new dance, the cantaor sings a magnificent entrance. Then out he sends us, vibrating the floor, and I'm still a bit anxious, still a bit nervous, a little self-conscious, but he sings, this instrument of racking grace, sings as if to invite and command me, body up, chest forward. With discipline you must dance the anguish and so produce beauty. We do not want pretty flamenco. We do not want perfect flamenco or sentimental flamenco. We want the real. This salacious, extravagant dance of our excruciate lives that some call racket, cantaor, singer, tocaor, guitarist, bailaora, dancer, three making one embodied music that I don't just hear Jesus, I feel Jesus. I see Jesus in the palmas sordas, in my own cupped hands, cupped to catch rhythm or blood or compás or his compassion, this duende, this dwelling, which is not so much the meaning of life as it is its name. Oh, that was my button. Whatever. You're gonna see me do this. So this poem is called Duende, and and duende is a word that can kind of translate to spirit. And when flamenco dancers are dancing, or somebody's playing the guitar, somebody is singing, and they really catch the spirit, that is called duende. I recently started taking flamenco lessons, and I just thought this is the most embodied sense of human existence. And you can't dance or sing or play flamenco alone. You have to have a guitarist, a singer, and a dancer. That is flamenco. And so I wrote a little poem about it. Okay. This next poem is called Will Not Go Without, and it is inspired by a song of that name by my friend J.P. Cooper. And J.P. wrote this poem about his mother who passed. And I wrote this poem in response to his song, and it's actually a remix of two separate poems, one that I wrote for my mother. So if you buy my chapbook or Anastasia Renee's book, back in the back, you can read it in mine. But this one poem from my mother and this other poem about my best friend, Aisha, and just how these women loved me so deeply that I cannot think about the love of Jesus without thinking about the two of them and how maternal Jesus's love actually is. And so I'm gonna sing the chorus of this song just so that I can get into the performance, because I've never actually performed this without JP. And I'm not a professional singer, but we're gonna do it. Oh, when you left us, you didn't really go. I know you're watching me from my head to my toes, and I will not go without. I won't walk without you, no. Truth be told, everybody knows you put the food on my plate and you gave me my clothes, and I will not go without. I won't walk without you, no. She stands in the kitchen, soaking a skillet, and asks me to set the table. A breakfast of fried eggs, biscuits, and sage tea stands between us and our last fight, and hunger settles like an easier kind of forgiveness. She swallows coffee the color of my skin after first boiling the milk in a sky blue kettle till it weeps. One afternoon, she'll catch me naked in bed with the bourbon, crying and solving crossword puzzles. My ex will be getting married 30 miles away, throwing my insides over his shoulder like a bridal bouquet in front of a banquet of friends and distant relatives. I'll look her in the face and say, Mama, I'm finished. I'm famished. I'm drooling from the aisles of my heart. And she'll brush my hair. She'll dress me as if to say, baby, some boys is poison. But you're the only diamond I'll ever wear. Mama, I've often considered you the fourth member of the Trinity, though you never asked for any credit or any glory. You gave me many titles for the inside of your palms, my back door into church on days where I couldn't tell the difference between steeple and scalpel. The prayer pressed when I was still sleeping in the chest of someone who didn't treasure me, but you kept telling me to rise. On mornings when the sun was sucking teeth and the sky was throwing shade, your breast been my Bible. Backhand been my paddle, bristle brush and snot rag. Mama, you cut the crust off my white bread and cut your eyes when I was talking back and cut those boys for talking smack. Yeah, I might be God's daughter and Jesus might save, but I'm still the girl you named and the woman you raised, and there ain't no one else to thank for that small victory. So 16 years ago, when I was up to my ears the first time in sand and self-doubt, 5,000 miles away from the place where you were more than just a word, I asked the Sphinx a million questions, and I still couldn't go to sleep in my heart. You sent me a text message. You said, nothing matters but sacrificial love. That is still the hinge and throne of everything I believe in. So whenever that day comes, and I finally have to spill past your body in the church, your hair coiffed and coffined, cured lightning white, eyes empty and skin cold, there won't be hands strong enough to catch me, but my faith will hold. After all, it was you who put the shoes on my feet and the gospel in my mouth, and I will not go without. Milk of my heart, you alone satiate me. Drench the canals, grasses, and streams, wet everything, and let parts of me disappear in the drain. Let them crawl homeward to the good earth, to your pelvic bowl, to the drink from which you ladled out the small bouillon of my life. I won't burn, though you leave me on the stove all day. I'm only water, milk of my heart. I have suckled wine, tears, and men's love and never grew strong. And it's okay. Let us be famished a while. I want to feed you from my own mouth, milk of my heart. I love you, but parts of me have curdled. Let them become your bones, become your teeth. I do not know if I can stand. This working of function over form requires imagination at the expense of my form. So milk of my heart, walk me blind, so that tasting you, I may see. Okay, this next piece I'm going to read is about, and so all the poems that I'm reading are kind of about different types of love. Friend love, familial love, religious love, relational love, self-love. And this poem, when I look at you without speaking, I'm drawing a map, I wrote after I had a conversation with my friend who, I used to have very strong opinions about immigration. Not opinions that I'm proud of, but very strong opinions about them. And my friend, who I love, precious to me, casually told me the experience that he had of walking from El Salvador to the United States at 6, being turned away, and then walking again at 9. At that point, I had no opinion anymore. I only had my friend. I was only so grateful that he was alive. I was only so terrified for a parent that knew that that was the best thing that they could do for their kid. And the dire situation that mother and that father had to be in, that child was put in. And it just changed. There was no more conversation to have. I was like, okay, case closed. My opinion has changed. You didn't just change my mind, you changed my heart. And this poem is just an overflow of that. When I look at you without speaking, I'm drawing a map. Love, not as origin, but as exodus. A parting, and then another. Dust of your country rolling off like sweat or my name from your tongue in the time that you loved me. The autumn mosquitoes ripened in the walls of your apartment and made a border fence on my skin. Here, our touch is trespass. Here, the way is shut. I became a robber. I was the robber whom you fed windows, fed me frame after frame after frame, your silhouette sleeping, your silhouette cutting mangoes, your silhouette with other ghosts. You never told me. Twice you were deported before you made it to Nogales alone and only 9 years old. Saguaro shadows pantomime. The owls flex against the sky. Tiger shifts its stripes of sun and absence, making it day for you and then night. I erase the image of you of a scared little boy from my mind and picture you as I always do, more windfall to me than friend, more brother to me than fig, home como ancla, no como cadenas, rather you as a worm hooked in a little fishing village by the sea away from the desert, calling the iguana's mother that they could give them no suck. I imagine you back in El Salvador, gambling at a funeral, dice stirring up dust, the legs on a pair of ghost roses clipped and joined to your lapel. You won't die now, but you'll be disappointed you didn't on a mushroom trip in a car with friends, one Muskegean morning, wheels and wheels and wheels, and not a scream will break through your lobster grin. Don't lie to me and say you've been here and loved this soil. I am unfamiliar with you of any other images. You in a hill, and an ocean of tall grasses, or you inside Alaska with ice like chocolate around your mouth, or you in Montana under paperweight sky, land as flat as a pulse. I won't lie to you and say I don't want you to make my heartland your home. You plant kisses here and don't weed them. Your bare mouth leaves raspberries in my broken skin. And you're playing hard to get, friend, and it's getting hard on me. My neck is breathless, unfurling my lungs into a map back to where you've been. So, if immigrating is loving two women, which one of us do you dream in? What's another woman to the other woman, except an extra pair of hands to bring the harvest in? But I can't take you back home. I'm not a coyote that way. I'm the girl you guided gently through the reeds down to the loading docks. We lay on our backs, watched October get cut to pieces by helicopter. I told you, I wish to see you free of any need. I whisper, look out over all this vastness and forgive it all. In sleep last night, I helped you pull 3 boats ashore into your port, one for you, one for me, one for her, one for home, one for home, one for home. See the rope burns? The labor of trying to bring what you love close enough to tie down and then ride out again onto the waves, assuring the land animals that appear in every single one of your poems. This time, the mule doesn't have to drown. This time, I don't have to keep a vigil until you return. This time, you get to go home and make it back to everyone. And in the fields where we dream, there's no need for oil drums. So this last poem has gone by many different names. I don't know where it goes. I keep fidgeting with it. It has haunted me for years. I have no idea who it is. You know what I'm saying? I keep like trying and it just keeps evading me. But I wrote this poem in Ukraine in 2017. In the city of Lviv. And it was one of those rare moments where a poem can't, you caught the poem, like it was whizzing by and you're like, yeah, I got you. And then it's like running with you down the street and you're just like, I'm just writing down everything you say. But I can't find the ending to this poem. So I'm gonna try an ending tonight and we're gonna see how it goes, okay? Because we don't know her. We're still confused about who she is. So I'm envisioning that tonight, this poem is being said by Solomon to the Shulamite, okay? In the story, if you don't know, in Song of Songs in the Bible, there's an erotic love poem in the dead middle of Scripture, and this is my imagining of a conversation between the lover and the beloved. Let me say it softly. Let me say it softly, with my head horizontal on the table as you wait for your oatmeal to cool. Let me say it softly as your hair through the light turns to milkweed. Let me say it softly in the mill of our youth, when the gears are rushing and our baskets are full of wheat. Let me say it on a bed of snow and remember summer. Watch as you send cherries bleeding from your mouth. Let me say it often when your eyes are dark with wanting. Let me say it and become the moon in every window, in every mirror. Oh, let me say it facing you. No, let me say it kneeling beside you in the golden apse of the Armenian church as the bells beat the song out of an old lover's name. Let me say it softly while the music plays, for I am ashamed that I love you so much and for so little reason. Let me tell you while you sleep and watch your lips divulge little secrets. May I say, wait a while, then come to me. Let me, softly, like the ache of fruit not in its season. Say it, again, until I know by heart, until it becomes refrain, until I am speaking a whole other language. Say it, under the sign with Cyrillic letters, under graffiti, under ivy, under the wall of night jasmine, even if under your breath, let me hear you say it. Dime, zechme, skazimnie, ululi. You mean, beloved, after all this time, at the prayer-bitten knees of dawn, when light rises from genuflection, you mean you still don't know why it bends again to cheer your left cheek? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your power, for your vulnerability, though two pairing of very rare traits. Thank you for that. Thank you for the word beloved. Shannon and I have been married 35 years and dated for 5, so 40 years. And we give each other a blessing. You are my friend, you are my beloved, you are the one my soul loves, out of the Song of Solomon. So thank you for that. Blessings to you. We're heading to the next piece, which is called a blessing. So please prepare for that. Before we start, let's pause and close our eyes again. I would just love for you to breathe in the word beloved. A Blessing by James Wright. Just off the highway to Rochester, Minnesota, twilight bounds softly forth on the grass. And the eyes of those 2 Indian ponies darken with darkness. They have come gladly out of the willows to welcome my friend and me. Step over the barbed wire into the pasture where they have been grazing all day alone. They ripple tensely. They can hardly contain their happiness that we have come. They bound shyly as west swans. They love each other. There is no loneliness like theirs. At home once more, they begin munching the young tufts of spring in the darkness. I'd like to hold the slender one in my arms, for she has walked over to me. And nuzzled my left hand. She is black and white. Her mane falls wild on her forehead, and the light breeze moves me to caress her long hair. That is delicate as the skin over a girl's wrist. Suddenly I realize that if I stepped out of my body, I would break into blossom. Don't you love the word kinship? Everyone say kinship. I just love that word. Kinship dialogue. After hearing James Wright poem, what connections do you notice between love and loneliness? And then tell about a time when nature or wilderness broke into blossom before your eyes, or a time when you, like the poet, felt you might break into blossom. A little time together. What a wonderful time together. What a wonderful time together. Thank you so much. We do have a planned time for the 2 artists to be signing books and would love to greet you. Please, there's a table in the back that has their work. I think it's really an honor to be with both of you, and the talent here in the room is profound. Thank you. I would like, before I close, for you to think of a word that you would like to walk out with. Our family selects a word or a phrase for the year that we speak to ourselves. And I think that's part of the healing process. So think of a word. Maya Angelou, one of my favorite poets, believed so much in the importance of words, her home became a sanctuary. There was no news. There was no gossip. There was no negative speaking. If that was to be done, it was in a separate place away from the home. That the home is sanctuary. Yes, Julian, thank you. It's respite. It's stillness. It's words that heal. Words that are intentional. She gives us this beautiful poem. I gave you a tiny bit of it earlier. We, unaccustomed to courage, exiles from delight, live coiled in shells of loneliness until love leaves its high holy temple to come into our sight to liberate us into life. Love arrives, and in its train we have ecstasies, old memories of pleasure, ancient histories of pain. Yet if we are bold, love strikes the chains from around our souls. We are weaned from our timidity. In the flush of love's light, we dare be brave. And suddenly we see love costs all we are and will ever be. Yet it is only love that sets us free. Thank you for our time tonight. Blessings to you all. Give love and courage to everybody. May Christ's love be with you all.